let me put this for you. So I'm 10 years old. This song came out in 1992. I'm 10 years old. I'm with my uncle. Shout out to Uncle Wayne, bruh. Shout out to Uncle Wayne. This is going on YouTube. Shout out to Uncle Wayne. I love you. I love you, Uncle. Hope you're doing excellent. Now, I was my Uncle Wayne, he often dated women that were out of town. And, I mean, that was his thing. I was 10 years old. I didn't know anything about dating or anything like that. I was just playing basketball, video games, and, like, fighting. That's all I cared about. Like, that's all I cared about, and french fries, Like, that's all I cared about as 10 years old. So my uncle, he would always, he would pick me up and hang out with me, or maybe we go and play, like, some basketball, or, go do something, get out the house. And one time he took me to, it was somewhere out of town. Maybe it was Muncie or Mooresville, or I'm not exactly certain what city in particular, Kokomo. It was somewhere out of town. I don't remember the highway or anything. I just remember we were in the car. I don't remember the car type either. But we were heading out, and you know how the radio, this is obviously before iPad, aux cord, and all of that. It's before all of that. And obviously we were listening to the radio. We were listening to the radio and chilling. I don't think we were talking. I had a Game Boy. I was 10 years old. Of course I had a Game Boy. It was probably Game Boy Color at the time. Maybe, I'm not sure. Or maybe Game Boy Advance. I'm not sure. But, so we're out on the highway, and, once you leave the radio station's area or interference or frequency or whatever, it will change into another one. So the radio went out, right? And keep in mind, I've grown up in a hip hop household, so I've heard a lot of like soul, hip hop, R&B, and soul. I got a lot of that embedded into me. A lot of old school, 70s, 80s, 90s, like Ice Cube, Ice-T, NW. Like I can go back further. I'm not thinking of anybody. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like there's a bunch of those people. But that's what I was raised on. So I didn't know any rock songs. The only rock songs I think I had begun to know maybe was THPS, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Those are probably the first songs I maybe have heard. But I don't know if Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out before this moment I had in my life. So anyway, to continue, the radio went out. So, we were like, or whatever the noise the radio makes when it goes, and it makes the static noise, right? So we turned the radio volume down to like maybe 8 to 10 or whatever. And then as we were getting, I guess, into the next area where the radio would pick up, the radio picked up or whatever. And we heard something faint. And then I was like, what's that? And Uncle's like, he looked at me like, I don't know. And we heard, what? We heard, it was right. We heard this. We didn't hear that. I think my uncle heard that. I didn't, as in we didn't understand. We didn't understand it. It was just coming in on the radio, right? And now he looks at me and says it with him. And now you do what they told you. Or whatever. And I'm like, what? And then I was like, what? And then he keeps saying it or whatever. And now I look at him back and now they do what they told you. And then I say it back. We do what they told you. I was like, and now they do what they told you. I was like, oh no, they do what they told you. Like we just say it back to back and then we don't know this part. And I was like, hold on. At 10 years old, whatever, no rock ever heard. No rock ever heard in my life. Ever heard in my life. Whatever. So this was, I believe, the first ever rock song I've ever heard in my life. And I didn't register that in my brain until I heard this again in about 2008 or 2007 when I started playing Rock Band. It really opened my mind up to like, hey, you should listen to rock. Like, look for it. Go on YouTube. Figure out what you like. And I started with Disturbed because the movie The One from Jet Li had a song I really loved, and it was Disturbed. So I started with Disturbed. Disturbed is still my favorite band somehow after I've heard a gang of bands at this point. But I went from Disturbed. I kind of was hovering around that era. Disturbed, Killswitch Engage, Avenged Sevenfold. There's a Rise Against. There's a lot of bands in that, in that area of rock, because there are different areas of rock. Like, like there's the death metal, there's the metal, there's alternative, and all of that stuff. I don't know the full definitions of all of those. I just know that they're separated. And normally people that like rock, they like some of them, but not all. There's like classic rock. They have all kinds of different types of rock when you use the word rock. So when you say I like rock, you have to a lot of times specify, like, oh no, I like alternative, or I like punk, or you say that stuff. And that was another thing I learned as I continued to research and listen to rock in general, that people, like, they kind of shat on like certain rock genres, and they kind of loved certain other ones. So they were like, no, don't listen to that. Listen to this. Or you're like, oh no, this is trash rock. You should listen to this rock. Like, they would do that to me, and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna try and listen to some of these different groups. So yeah. I ended up circling back to Rage Against the Machine, and I was like, this is the song I listened to. I was like, wow, this is the song I heard like 8-9 years ago with my Uncle Wayne. I'm like, shout out to Uncle Wayne for putting me on the rock, kind of. Love you, Unc, man.